Alright, let's tie a little caddis larva pattern. This is from a friend of mine, Bever, and Luke is a pretty darn good angler, and as much as I like to tease him, he's a pretty good tyer too. He ties a lot of really cool patterns and some pretty innovative stuff, so don't ever tell him I said that, and he's not adept enough to turn on the interwebs, so he'll never see this video. But he came up with this little caddis pattern, and it's a variation of a buckskin. It's called Bever's Better Buckskin. And it's tied on a Tiemco 3769, which is a standard length nymph hook, so it seems a little stubby. I'm going to use some 8/0 black unithread here. So what I'll do is I'm going to start this thread just a couple eye lengths behind the hook eye, if I can get a hold of it. There we go. And I'm going to wrap a thread base all the way back to the bend here. And then I'll come forward again. And at this point I'm going to tie in a piece of copper wire. And this is small size copper. Small copper. I'll tie this wire, catch it along my near side, and wrap back over it all the way back to the end of that thread base. I'll just clip that back in my material spring back out of the way. And then the flashback is going to be medium-sized opal mirage tinsel, because that's what I use for all my flashbacks. So there's what you're looking for. Mirage tinsel, medium opal. I'm going to catch this here at the bend with just a turn or two. And then what I've got here is a strip of Ultra Suede. So what Ultra Suede is synthetic chamois. It's not natural deerskin or buckskin or even chamois that you wash your car with. This is a synthetic version. And the reason I use this stuff, and Luke used this stuff, is it's way, way tougher and easier to work with than regular chamois. You can see I've got this cut pretty thin. It's probably 2 by 2 millimeters. You know, it's just as wide as it is thick. But it's going to tie in nice and cleanly because the synthetic version is a lot tougher. So what I've done there is I've cut the end of that to a point. I just laid my scissors in there and cut across at an angle. And I'm going to catch that tip with my thread. And you can see that creates very little bulk at the tie-in there. I've got just the slightest little bump, but my body's going to get fatter from there. So that's not going to cause an issue. I'm going to bring the thread back up to where I started it. And now I'm going to wrap my Ultra Suede. And Luke likes to roll his up sort of into a cord. I like to keep mine a little smoother. Now when I get up to the front, I'm going to go one extra turn, but I want to leave a little space there at behind the hook eye. I'll tie that off with a couple turns. Well, that right there, see how that broke right at that point? That's because I'm a professional. I'll trim that out. I'm going to smooth that top edge down. And if you were wondering how to tie a buckskin, that's it right there. You can skip the wire, skip the flash, and just wrap that piece of Ultra Suede up the hook, and you've got yourself a nice buckskin. So now what I want is a nice thick strand of peacock herl. I'm going to take and tie it in back up here on the front of the thorax. And I tied it in by its butt end. This is one of the few flies that I'll tie peacock herl in by its butt end. Then I'm going to take a nice thick ostrich herl, a black one. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tie it in by its butt end as well, right at that same point. And I'll bring my thread forward. I'm going to wrap the peacock herl forward, sort of tight spirals. I don't really worry about if it butts exactly together. Right up to the hook eye and tie it off with a couple turns. Then I'm going to take the ostrich and I'm going to spiral wrap it through the peacock. And one of the coolest things about this is this gives us the legginess of the ostrich, of that long length of the ostrich, with the iridescence of the peacock mixed in. So then I'll trim that, tie that ostrich herl off and trim it out. And I'm going to wet my fingers just slightly and kind of comb all this herl down here at the front. I'll pull my flash over the top. I'm going to tie it off just behind the eye here. A couple good tight turns of thread. Then I'll kind of push everything forward. Now I don't trim the flash yet. I'm going to trim the flash last. So I'm going to hold tight on my thread here so it doesn't slide off the hook eye. And I'm going to rib through the abdomen, just segmenting that flash. 3 or 4 turns. I don't like where that one went. When I get to the thorax, I'm going to take a big jump and just divide the thorax in half. I'll turn this a bit so you can get a better angle. I'll pull down tight on that wire. Bring that wire up just behind the eye and catch it with a couple of turns. I'll helicopter the wire to break it off. Then I'll fold that flash back like usual. If you've got any loose strands, you can kind of wet your fingers and comb them back. I'll build a little thread head here just behind the eye. Trim the thread out and trim the flash off. And preen my herl up where it needs to be there. And that is a pretty caddisy looking little bug. Great looking fly, easy to tie. You can see that peacock mixed in with the ostrich really adds a facet to the fly. Quick, easy, fun to tie. I do like to gloss that head up. You guys know by now, if you've been watching these, I'm using this Solaris Ultra Thin. And just hit that thread head. The nice coat. That'll gloss things up. Nice and shiny. Zap it with the light for a second. And there's our finished critter. That's an awfully buggy looking little fly. Beaver's Better Buckskin. Twist them up, put them in your box, fish them on the bottom. That's really all there is to it. What else do you want to know? Alright, go have fun. Thanks for watching.